What's up, guys? Everly's Guy here. We're back, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about that Umbral Forma. Yes, the highly sought after Umbral Forma that can make the tankiest of frames even tankier, which is pretty nice. So currently in the game, there are a few different Umbral mods, and those Umbral mods, at least at this point in time, work very, very well with tanky frames. So for the most part, I'm going to be focusing on some tanky frames that I'm considering for my Umbral Forma. Now, I'm going to go over a list of different Warframes that I think, just in general, could definitely benefit from that Umbral Forma. Some of them are actually going to utilize all three, and some of which are only going to benefit from maybe one or two. And as we go through, I'm going to eliminate certain frames from that list of ones that I'm actually considering for this Umbral Forma, and we'll give little reasons why I think they're good for a Forma, and also reasons why I won't be using or will be using a Forma on them at some point. So, first of all, we're going to jump in, and there are a few frames that I'm eliminating right off the bat for one reason or another. There's a few here that potentially, just because they don't work with certain builds, or maybe a meta build that's currently very popular with a Warframe, having these three Umbral mods on those frames are going to kind of break their builds. Now, for instance, what I mean by that is Nova, for instance, can technically benefit from all three mods, or at least power, strength, and vitality. However, because typically the way she's built is focusing on her molecular prime as well as damage reduction with her null star. Her null star, that's the one. She definitely benefits a lot from that power strength. So definitely a very good candidate. However, because I feel like she could technically be built through regular formas and could benefit for the most part just from proper planning on this build, I'm actually going to wait on considering her for any type of Umbral Forma. In the future, if we get like an Umbral Duration or something like that, you better believe she's going to be on my list. But at this point in time, Nova, unfortunately, not going to receive my Umbral Forma. Same thing with Mesa. Similar ideal. She could definitely benefit from a majority of her stuff. However, in terms of builds, she probably won't be utilizing Umbral Fiber, Umbral Vitality, or Power Strength, or the Umbral Intensify on one build. So because of that, and because of the other stuff that is, more important for her to have in her build, I probably won't be including Mesa on here either. Garuda, another good reason, and this one a little bit different from some of the other frames. Even though she definitely could benefit from power strength and Umbral Fiber, having that extra armor, she actually, because of her health pool, having a large health pool, can definitely benefit from having a large amount of health. Being able to remove her health from herself, or being able to restore her health pool and all that stuff, she can benefit in general from having a large health pool. But currently, that's really what she's going to utilize the most. So for that reason, I'm going to remove Garuda from there. And for instance, Octavia, a great frame in terms of being able to buff everybody and utilize, say, power strength to make sure those buffs are really, really strong. She definitely could use the extra survivability for things like, her health and her armor. However, because her metronome, there's some armor increases when it comes to like her metronome, and the fact that for the most part she's going to try and stay invisible using her abilities anyways, she's most likely just going to benefit from duration and the fact that she can be concealed most of the match. So not really where I would see using my Umbral Forma at this point in time. So alright, getting into it, we are going to go over a few frames that I actually think are great candidates. However, I will actually be eliminating them based on the fact that they do not currently have a prime variant. Now, I feel like this is a good reason, but at the same time, a not a good reason, because frames like Nidus and Naros can actually see huge benefits from these Umbra mods. The problem is, at some point, we're going to get a Prime variant, and do you really want to spend another Umbral Forma on the same type of frame? Because, it would really kill me to, put a Umbral Forma on Nidus as much as I want to. Trust me, I do. And then end up with a Nidus Prime and then having to go get another one. So currently, we'll go over why some of these frames are definitely beneficial, because some of you might not care. Some of you might be like, you know what? I love Nidus, and I'll go out and get another one if I have to. For another Umbral form if I have to, because I just need it on my Nidus. So Nidus could definitely benefit from the high amounts of health, the high amounts of armor, not to mention having all that good power strength on his build is fantastic. Nidus, for the most part in his builds, do require several Forma, so if you want to just fast track his build a little bit and give him the Umbral Intensify or Umbral Vitality, and put that Umbral Forma on him right off the bat, you're going to save to some degree on that mod space, which is pretty nice. So Nidus, great choice, but personally going to be eliminated from my list just because of the no Prime. And it hurts me to do it because I want to so bad. Following that, Naros, another great frame, very tanky, that benefits from all three of these. Probably the least of which is his Umbral Intensify. He doesn't all that much benefit from high power strength. However, because of the amount of health, like having an insane amount of health and having an insane amount of armor, makes Naros an incredibly tanky frame, and especially if you end up with the proper arcanes on Naros, he will be one of the hardest frames to kill in the game with the proper build, and like I said, with those Umbral mods. So great option. Just currently, without having a Prime variant, I'm not going to be putting my Forma on him. So Cora, some people probably didn't see this one coming, but actually Cora can greatly benefit from these mods. She is going to benefit from having, just in general, she's going to have better, health pool, which is nice, better armor, which is very nice. Her Intensify is going to really help her out in terms of her abilities. Her one ability is just going to destroy enemies with high power strength, which is pretty cool. But some people didn't realize that Cora will actually share a lot of those armor benefits and health benefits with Venari, her little Kavat that she has following her around, which is fantastic. If you want a fairly tanky Cora build, this is a great way to do it. And also at the same time, you can have a very tanky Kavat running around and taking down enemies, which is awesome. Great opportunity to have a really strong Cora, but once again, I'll be eliminating her from my list because she doesn't have a Prime, and I am actually really curious about how good she can be with the proper, Umbral build. And man, I almost just want to waste the Forma on her just to have a cool, crazy cat mom that can just destroy enemies. But anyways, following that, another frame that could definitely benefit, but I'm unfortunately going to eliminate, is Guara. She has some really good, synergy with these mods. Just in general, she's going to definitely benefit from high power strength. A lot of her abilities, just in general, are just going to be amplified by it. But at the same time, a tanky, high health, high armor Guara is fantastic, and her Mass Vitrify will actually benefit significantly from having a high armor level on Guara. So her wall of glass that she keeps around her, you make that thing very tanky, and Guara is going to be a very good defensive frame, and possibly, I don't want to say one of the tankiest frames in the game, but she definitely can hold her own, especially because a lot of people run her as a very solid melee frame, because her shards that she keeps around her as she runs around will deal damage. Her melee weapon will deal damage, and getting up close and personal is not going to be as detrimental when she just has all sorts of damage mitigation, you know, with her high health and high armor, which is very, very nice. Very good, you know, candidate, but I'm personally not going to include her because of the lack of prime variant, and I think I have to personally play around with her a little bit more and get better with Guara. So that's one thing. Following that, we have Atlas. Very similar issue I have is Atlas. I don't use him all that often. He can definitely benefit from all of these mods. His power strength, you know, is going to help him out. His high armor is going to help him out. The high health is going to help him out. The armor especially is actually going to make his rumblers that much more powerful. So his rock golems that run around are going to be tankier with that added armor, which is nice. However, not everybody really runs Atlas for his rumblers. Not to mention, I feel like he needs a little bit of help in terms of like a rework type deal. I think he's a good frame. I think for sure he benefits a lot from an Umbral build. However, because I'm not all that familiar with him, and I feel like just other frames will definitely benefit from the Umbral Forma, and the fact that he is not primed yet, I'm crossing him off my list as well. Alright, so this one is, I can see a lot of people putting an Umbral Forma on, and that is going to be Nahshon. Nahshon currently, I feel like Nahshon is trending. Does that make sense? Nahshon definitely can benefit from damage output, having high power strength. Nahshon is capable of dishing out a significant amount of damage, but at the same time, Nahshon has his warding halo, and that warding halo is going to mitigate incoming damage. And if you increase Nahshon's armor, it's going to synergize very, very well with warding halo. You're directly going to buff the damage reduction to Nahshon, and Nahshon is going to be a very tanky frame. Not to mention, if you give him additional health and power strength, he's going to be able to do a lot of things. He's going to be able to dish out damage and stay alive very, very easily, you know, as a frame. But in personal preference, because number one, I get motion sick for whatever reason playing Nahshon because of how slidey he is. I just have to get used to his play style. As much as I like Nahshon's kit and his abilities, I can't. I just get sick. I get sick, and he doesn't have a prime variant at this point in time. So I personally won't be using my Umbral Forma on Nahshon. However, I definitely think a lot of people are going to, and I think it is a very good use of your Umbral Forma. So there you go. Following that, we have Frost. So we're getting into all the frames that have prime variants at this point in time. Frost is going to be an option. Definitely keeping Frost tanky with high vitality can benefit him. Keeping his armor, armor really, really high also is really benefits him, because that ties into his snow globe and directly buffs how strong his snow globe can be. So very, very good. And then just in general, power strength on Frost pretty much benefits his whole kit. Not to mention his ults, his avalanche, can just dish out lots and lots of damage if you build him appropriately. The only reason why I'm actually going to cross Frost off my list is because Frost is arguably too stationary. You don't have to play a stationary Frost. However, if you're going to utilize his snow globe and utilizing these mods to increase the strength of his snow globe, it's really a defensive ability. And I don't currently want to spend my Umbral Forma on a defensive frame. I want to spend my Umbral Forma on a frame that is really going to be a go-to frame for any content in the game, and be able to survive at very, very, high levels, in the game. So currently, Frost is not going to be that frame for me. So I'm going to cross Frost off that list. Getting into Chroma, another fantastic option. Chroma is going to benefit from all of the above. High power strength is going to be very, very nice. High health is going to be very, very nice. And his armor, getting that armor, armor up for Chroma is going to not only benefit from a cold-based, Chroma with his elemental ward, having that cold design, his cold energy, is going to definitely help Chroma because of armor buffs. But at the same time, having the Vex armor is going to just straight up benefit from, having Chroma with lots of armor, and then stacking armor on top of that armor is going to be very, very nice for Chroma. So absolutely a very, very good option for all of this. And, well, I'm eliminating him off the list because some people also are kind of not happy with the recent Chroma rework, so I could see why some people would not put it on there. However, I'm eliminating him mostly because I'm just not all that familiar with Chroma. After his rework, I have to relearn Chroma a little bit, and in order for him to kind of play into my playstyle, I'm going to have to relearn him and make a new build for him. So short term, I think I won't be using the Umbral Forma on him, even though he's a very, very good candidate for it, especially because we have Chroma Prime now, so that's pretty nice. All right, so these last ones are going to be the 4 that I am absolutely considering for this Umbral Forma, and I know a lot of other people are as well. We'll get started off with one that I didn't actually see tossed around too much. Valkyr, I think, can be a very, very good frame to use this Umbral Forma on because, number one, Valkyr, already very, very tanky. She has lots of armor. Warcry is going to give her even more armor, and Warcry is going to pretty much just stack on top of your Umbral Fiber, which is going to make Valkyr super tanky. Very, very nice. Giving her lots of health is also going to make her, that much more tanky, and is very, very cool. But at the same time, some people will cross Valkyr off her list because they run a, Hysteria. Is that her ultimate? Her ultimate that makes her invincible is going to be the reason why a lot of people say that these Umbral builds are unnecessary for her. However, personally, why I'm considering her is because I don't always want to run around in her ultimate. I don't want to always be forced to use her ultimate to have a tanky Valkyr. Does that make sense? So I'm actually considering her because I actually want to stray away from only using her ultimate and actually make a tanky run and gun Valkyr build that has the option of dropping into her ultimate whenever I deem it necessary. So that's why I'm going to keep her on my list. She may get crossed off just for the small fact that she can be invincible with her ultimate. So we'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. Following that, Oberon. Oberon, I feel like, is also, for whatever reason, trending. There's a lot of people that, for whatever reason, dislike Oberon, or passionately dislike Oberon for whatever reason. However, in the right hands and the right build, Oberon is an incredible frame that can keep your entire party alive and dish out lots and lots and lots of damage. And I think those who have not given Oberon a chance are missing out. And Oberon is definitely a high candidate for my Umbral Fiber right now. And I love Oberon. He's got a Prime variant. He's very strong. I love being able to be a solid support that can dish damage out, and at the same time, just run and gun if I want to. So, Oberon, I don't know, man. Might be the one. Following that, of course, Rhino. Of course. I mean, Rhino, lots and lots of health. Lots and lots of armor. so tanky. He definitely benefits significantly from having high power strength, so that's very, very nice. Great running gun frame. If you want to Rhino stomp the whole entire map and obliterate enemies, because you have, you know, that Umbral Intensify on there with lots of power strength, it's a very, very good candidate. Definitely a good option. I may not consider him just because I feel like I want a little bit more, like, I want a more powerful casting frame. Does that make sense? I want something that can do use his abilities freely and not just use his abilities for keeping himself tanky, which might be the only reason why I don't use Rhino. So I'm not sure. And I kind of drop all of that information on you because the last frame I'm considering wholeheartedly to be in my Umbral, to get my Umbral Forma is Sarin. And I know lots and lots of people are considering Sarin because she is just a very solid frame at this point in time. She is very tanky. She's she can, number one, she can restore her own health with her regenerative molt if you go that route. She has lots of armor. She can have a high health pool, and her builds and her kits really allow her to be a very good casting frame and deal incredible amounts of damage. So awesome option, very viable at this point in time. So it's hard for me to choose between the four, and I think they're personally the best candidates. However, I know that plenty of you are going to choose some other frames like Nidus and a Naros, and I don't fault you for that at all because they're all going to be great. Pretty much every frame could benefit from an Umbral Fiber, but the problem is you probably won't be using all three if you're going to be using like a casting frame or something like that. You're probably going to use those ability slots or those mod slots for some of their other abilities. So I'm focusing on tanky frames with that fit my playstyle. So like I said, Valkyr, Oberon, Rhino, Sarin, very, very likely going to be getting what I deem as the most worthy warframes of the Umbral Forma. Nahshon, and Guara and Nidus, and Naros, Cora, just even Atlas in there, Frost, all definitely good options as well. So, it's all personal preference, all that good stuff. You could throw it on, like I said, Nova, if you just want that, Umbral Intensify on there and make your build that much easier to build. You could definitely do stuff like that, but I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I appreciate you guys sticking on through with this entire video. You know what? What I'm going to do is we're about to have you know what? I've got lots of plat codes to give away. So in the description, let me know what Warframe you're considering for your Umbral Fiber or Umbral Forma. And let me know why. And then at the also in that description or in that comment, leave the words I don't know. Type in I don't know. Leave me the frame you're gonna forma, the Umbral Forma, the build that or the reasons why you think that's a good build, and then somewhere in your comment just put I don't know. Or if you don't have the Umbral Forma yet, just in your comment just type I don't know, and I will run through that list, and I will be dropping plat codes around for some of you guys. So I'll probably run it through like a random number generator or something like that, but because this was such a long video, I'll probably give out 5, 6, 7 codes, depending on how many I have left. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. You made it through this far through the video. I want to reward you. But thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me a long time to make because of all the capture stuff that you saw in the screenshots and stuff. So I appreciate you. Outro stuff, you can see places to find me. If you want to support me on Patreon, that would be, I would absolutely appreciate it. I try to do some extra stuff for patrons whenever possible, such as extra giveaways and stuff. But anyways, that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again in the next episode. Blow!